is what I believe real? Am I following the right path? Does this lead anywhere? These are very important times. There are times when you have to decide if you are on the right path, or if your doubts are just because you're overcoming a new plateau, overcoming a new challenge, a new obstacle along your path. These obstacles must be overcome, if they are as such. But we can't completely throw away doubts. They should always be considered, if not accepted. No matter what path you're on, magical, spiritual, religious, no matter what kind of path that you're on, you're going to encounter those times where you encounter situations or experiences or just inner turbulence that makes you doubt the direction you're going or how you're going in that direction. I would say that most of the time, these are times to grow, not necessarily change your direction, but grow. Learn to understand yourself in a different way, learn to understand your path in a different way, and see how you can move forward rather than finding a different path to go onto. It isn't easy. It isn't a cookie cutter kind of situation. One person's path, you may really come upon a point where it's like, I'm on the wrong path, and that's completely fine. But another person's path might be, there's this obstacle in my way. Should I just go back because the obstacle is too hard? I'll give an example. Along my own path, if I don't completely understand this one rune that seems to be dominating my life, that's one Elder Futhark rune, should I just go away from the runes? Or should I really try to push forward? Let's say Nothiz, the rune of constraint. Let's say I didn't try to necessarily use it in some kind of spell or anything like that, but I feel like this rune, this primordial spirit, is troubling me along my path. For some reason, I keep on seeing it all around me. For some reason, I feel constrained, and perhaps I do a spell to get out of that constraint. Nothiz is a very dangerous rune, the most dangerous one to work with, besides Thurasas. But perhaps that runic spirit is trying to tell me or show me that something is constraining me within my life, and I need to break free. Dagaz, breakthrough rune. Sometimes the limitations in our path are trying to tell us, show us that there's a way to break free. Adversity, pain, misunderstanding, hopelessness, confusion, sadness. Sometimes these are actually red flags for us to figure out exactly how we should tweak the way we're walking our path, not necessarily changing our path. Because changing one's path, it is sometimes necessary depending on if you have if your path is coherent for who you are and what you're trying to do and what you feel like you are deep down. So it's honestly up to the individual. Let's say that I'm working with Odin and I do a lot of free writing. Basically I clear my mind with meditation and then I free write with Odin. And I get all these random, not random necessarily, but diversifying sentences popped in my mind. Like, what are you doing? You're walking towards this area when you shouldn't. You're not reading the runes correctly, or you deep down needs to be analyzed. Now, assuming you can actually do the meditation of, pushing out all other thoughts and allow Odin or another god or goddess to come in. And if you're sure that you're doing that and not just messing up the pre-meditation, then it can be very daunting. But even in these situations, perhaps the advice of a god or a spirit or, a runic spirit should be taken into heart, not to change your path, but to realize that you're walking in a really bad way. You're walking with halfway blindfolded. Ironic, because Odin has an eye patch, and one of his eyes is in the astral, one of his eyes is in the material realms. At any rate, I guess I would warn mainly against changing your path because you encounter obstacles. Now, if these obstacles not necessarily are insurmountable, but are showing that the path is not correct in the way you're conceptualizing it, perhaps another path is the way to go. But be very careful before you change your path. Know that just because you choose another path, that doesn't mean you will not encounter a similar obstacle. In all likelihood, you will encounter the same obstacle if you change your path but did not address the issue, whether it be ego, whether it be laziness, whether it be your vices or your confusion. These obstacles will pop up in another path. So be very certain before you change your path. Be very certain that the signs from higher beings, higher forms, or deeper consciousness are telling you to change your path and not necessarily change the way you walk your current path. Be very careful about that, because I've met a lot of people who change their path again and again and again, and they encounter the same obstacles. Because there's a failing within. It's not a failing in the walking of a path, but there's a failing within that they don't want to address. That's something that we have to decide for ourselves. Nobody else can decide it for you, unless you look up to a Brahmin or a priest or something like that and they tell you. But for me, I determine what certain signs are telling me, and if I should change, or if the way I'm walking is incorrect. But that's, once again, your own decision. Just don't give up too easy along the path you're walking. Don't say, oh, well, this is getting hard, I'm just going to go do something else, I'm going to do another path. Don't do that. Try to understand your situation, the signs, and who you are to the greatest extent that you can. And then if you decide to change your path, then it's appropriate. But these obstacles along spiritual paths are no joke. They are trying times that most people are not going to understand. Materialistic people, most people in society, are not going to understand these hiccups or these obstacles along your spiritual journey. And probably not your family members, and probably not your friends. It's amazing if you do have spiritual friends. I do, but it's very unlikely, considering the percentage of people out there who are, really walking a spiritual path and not just falling in line with dogma. So feel blessed if you have spiritual friends. Fear, confusion, and even the pain that these cause, they hit you hard. You're going to have to work through them, no matter what path you walk. Try to understand these things. The only reason we ever encounter these negative experiences is because they're trying to teach us something, or the universe, or God, or the gods, or spirits are trying to teach us something, however you understand everything. And focus in on individual problems in their own gravity. Don't try to introduce other doubts. Allow every problem you encounter, an obstacle that you encounter, to be its own planet, with its own gravity, its own elemental nature, and try to figure out that particular planet within yourself. And once you figure out that obstacle, once you can surmount it, then you can move on to another planet, another obstacle. Because spiritual paths are not about good experiences. It's about bad, higher, good, bad, higher, bad, higher. But if you're on a real spiritual path, it's not going to be easy. You're going to move forward with pain, encountering it again and again and again, confusion again and again and again, and uncertainty, and aggravation, anger, hate. You're going to encounter these things again and again and again, no matter what path you follow, no matter what religion or spiritual path you follow, or even philosophical path you follow. You're going to encounter these things again and again and again. It's not going to be a perfect road in whatever you follow, whatever path you follow. So I guess my message is, understand your path relative to yourself and itself. if there are problems along the way, decide if these are obstacles that you're encountering, or in the rare circumstance that for some reason everything is telling you need to follow another path, realize that it is that, but just keep on moving forward. The vast majority of you out there are following a path that, if you're watching this, you probably should be following. There's not a lot of people that find my videos. And if you did, it's likely that there's an obstacle before you that you just need to overcome, not necessarily change your path. Likely, but not going to be the case in all circumstances. So this is more of my concern for anybody out there who is having doubts in themselves, if something is real, if a spirit or God is real, or a goddess, or their whole identity or their understanding of themselves is real. The likely answer is that these are obstacles you have to overcome. It's not a sign that you should change your path. That's for you to decide. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was interesting. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, put them down in the comment section below on YouTube. If you're polite, I will respond. And all of you, have a wonderful day. Understand yourselves and just become one.